Okay, now that you have your evidence and your reasoning, let's start our discussion. Before we start our discussion, scholars, I want to discuss about your learning goal of why we are doing the mystery powder. And so I want you to be able to construct an argument about identifying the mystery powder based on its properties. You will also come back to a consensus about properties are most useful in identifying the unknown powder. Okay, so let's get started. So would Mina and Will share with the group what they thought mystery powder was and their claim?
So we think that the mystery powder is flour.
Okay, and what are your evidence or reasoning behind that, Will?
Well, we looked at the texture and the color, and then we weighed the powder, and that's how we found that it was flour.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Then our next group is Jayla and Emily. Can you tell us your claim to the group?
We think that we think that the powder is baking soda.
Okay, and your evidence?
Well, we tested all the properties, and baking soda matched up the most with the mystery powder.
Okay, thank you for sharing. And Carlos, looks like you are by yourself. What is your claim
I also think it's baking soda.
and your evidence?
So I tried to think about the properties in a logical fashion, and so I went down the list and came to the conclusion that all the properties are useful for identifying the powder except for the weight.
Okay. Um, what do you think about that, Mina and Will, what Carlos said? How he said all the properties, if you looked on your work shared the properties, he said that weight wasn't a factor. Why do you think that?
Yeah,
Or
I
what do you
definitely don't agree with that. Because, I don't think you have to use the other ones that outside of the texture, color, and weight, because that's just a long time, and you don't really need all that. And I think the weight's important because we use the weight to help us identify the powder.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Jayla, Emily, your thoughts?
Yeah, I disagree because, like, I think it's important because, as a scientist, you got to be real thorough. And you got to explore all avenues, you know. So I think that the weight being a property on there is important to check out.
Okay, thank you for sharing. I want to go back to Mina and Will, if that's okay, looking at your claim and evidence.
Sure.
It looks like you guys put that the properties that you guys measured were texture and colors. That's correct?
We use the texture, color, and the weight because we wanted to use the properties that we can see and measure because those are the most important.
Okay. And could we have a small group discussion? So it will be about talking about why you didn't think that reaction with vinegar or mixed with water was important, and just talk among yourself. I'll give you 20 seconds.
No, thank you like that because I kind of feel that way. Yeah, I mean, you're kind of thinking that way. Because that's how I thought of it too, you know? Yeah, because, it makes sense you feel like that. Well, if you think about it like that, well, I think because, I think I disagree. That notion a little, I don't know if it would be.
Okay, class, let's come back together. Okay, so I want to talk about Mina and Will, how they did texture, color, and weight. So what was your thoughts about that, Jayla?
Well, I don't think that those properties alone are enough to be able to identify the powder.
Okay. What else do you think that they should have measured, Carlos?
I think that they should have measured the reaction with vinegar and mixing it with water, but I don't think they needed the weight.
Okay. And why do you think that weight's not a factor, Carlos?
Well, because the weight just tells you how heavy or how much you have. Like, it doesn't really help you identify what the powder is.
Okay. Okay. That. So if we look at the properties, it looks like texture, color, and weight was something that Wilhelmina did. So I feel like the most it did eliminated really two. So what are the two that it eliminated?
The sugar and the salt.
The sugar and the salt. Do you guys agree about that? If we do texture, color, and weight, it kind of eliminates sugar and salt, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, perfect. And then the Emily, I want to know how did you know the mystery powder was baking powder? I mean, baking soda.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, how did you know that the mystery powder was baking soda?
Well, when we tested all the properties, the baking soda matched up the most with the mystery powder.
Okay. So, let me see. Okay, so now I want to talk about the weight. So if we look at the properties, the weights are kind of all like different. So we have 3 that are 24 grams, 1 that's 20, 1 that's 26, and 1 that's 22. And I feel like it doesn't matter what the weight is because it's a mystery powder. We can have 50 grams or 100 grams or more wanting to know like the texture, the color, the vinegar, or mixed with water. Does that make sense?
I'm kind of confused. What do you mean the weight's not important?
So weight for the mystery powder wouldn't be a relevant property because we're not looking for like the mass or the matter. We're looking more of what it is. So even though it might be 30 grams, 50 grams, it's not going to affect what the mystery powder is. Can you help me with this, Carlos?
Yeah. Well, think about it in like let's say we use like a doll, for example. Like, let's say we had 2 German shepherds, right? And one was 150 pounds, while the other was 100 pounds. Now, they're both still German shepherds, right? It's just that one weighs a bit more than the other, but it doesn't make them different. Or think about it in terms of like food. Like, let's say we had a box of pizza, right? 8 slices, and you ate 2, and now you only have 6 slices left. Now, even though you have less pizza, it's still pizza at the end of the day, right? Yeah, it is. Yeah. So just because it's less or it weighs less or weighs more doesn't change what the powder is. It just changes how much you have. Oh, okay. When you put it that way, I think I'm starting to get it. Yeah, I think the pizza example was pretty good. I personally like the dog example.
Yeah, I really like those examples. Thank you, Carlos. Does that make sense, Jayla and Emily?
Yeah, I think I'm starting to get it now.
Yes. What about you, Nina or Will? Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, I guess his explanation about the weight makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. So, let me see. Now that we know that weight is not a factor because we're looking for the mystery powder, like what Carlos said, of it doesn't matter if it's a German Shepherd, if they're different size, they're still a German Shepherd. So I want to talk about, but yeah, the weight does not help identify the powder. Okay, so now that we know that weight is not a factor, how also did we know that it was baking soda? So what other factors? So the texture and the color, it eliminated, we said salt and sugar. What else was another important property? Go ahead and have a small discussion and I will come back to you in 10 seconds.
Actually, I'm not sure what you're asking.
So now, okay, so for property, we eliminate sugar and salt. Right? How did we eliminate sugar and salt? What did we say? Go ahead.
Well, we saw that like the sugar and salt both had rough textures, and the mystery powder was smooth.
Yeah, so that's how we eliminated sugar and salt. So now that we eliminate that, and now that we eliminated weight, because it doesn't matter what weight is, let me show you. So we eliminate sugar and salt, and then we're just going to eliminate weight because it doesn't matter how much we have, it's still going to be that. So now that we have other properties, you know what smooth and white. Okay, what did the mystery powder do? Can you guys talk about it for 10 seconds? And they'll come back as a group. With what was the reaction with vinegar?
Well, like when we tested the mystery powder, it produced like bubbles as its reaction with
Vinegar. Yeah, I got the same result. And when we mixed it with water, it looked clear. Yep, I got that too.
Oh,
Okay.
well, we didn't test those properties.
I'm sorry. Are we good to come back as a whole group?
Yeah.
Okay. So now that we eliminate sugar and salt, what did the reaction was with the vinegar? Was there no reaction or was it bubbly? Was there bubbles?
Yeah, it produced bubbles when we mixed it with vinegar.
Okay, so now that it has bubbles, what does it eliminate again? If you look at your properties.
In that case, it would eliminate flour and cornstarch.
Yeah, eliminate flour and cornstarch.
Wait, so you're saying flour is not the mystery powder?
No, because if you looked at reaction with vinegar, it actually bubbled. And for reaction with vinegar, there was no reaction. So that was one of the important properties that you needed to measure for the mystery powder.
But like I've seen flour in real life, like I've used it before. I'm pretty sure I know what a flour looks like.
Yeah, I agree with you. But even though flour and baking soda are really cornstarch are really similar, we really don't know what it is. But if we test it with the vinegar, it shows that it had no reaction with flour. So that was our key evidence that it told us that it was not flour. Does that make sense?
Okay, I guess I'm trying to get that.
Okay, so reaction with vinegar was one of the important properties. Okay, so now what are the two are we left with? We're left with
that leaves us with the baking soda and baking powder.
yeah, so now we're left with baking soda and baking powder. Go ahead and talk in a small group. If when it mixed with water, was it clear or cloudy?
Well, when I mixed mine with when I mixed the mystery powder with water, it looked clear.
Yeah, we got the same results. Yeah.
Okay, so everybody go ahead and tell me, let's see, who have I not called on? Emily, I don't think I have heard from you. Was it clear or cloudy?
The mystery powder mixed with water looked clear.
Was clear, so what does that eliminate?
That means baking powder is not applicable.
Baking powder. So we can eliminate, so what is our mystery powder?
That leaves us with baking soda.
Baking soda. So when you are making a claim, making sure that you're testing like reaction with vinegar mixed with water so you have a stronger evidence in your claim. We found out what was not important. What property was not important? What do you think, Will?
Oh, I guess it was the weight was important, right?
Yes, the weight was not important because why, Mina?
Well, because the weight can like change. It can be smaller or bigger, but it doesn't really change what the powder is or help us identify the powder. It just tells us how much we have.
Yes, thank you. And then, so that's how we didn't, property and weight didn't matter for baking soda. And that's how we eliminate it down to baking soda. Do we have any questions?
No.
Okay. So going back to our learning goal, were you able to construct an argument by identifying the mystery powder?
I think we were successful.
I think so too. And were you able to use the properties to help you find the baking soda or the mystery powder and learning to eliminate?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Were you able to find the mystery powder based on its properties?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. And you came together on the consensus on which properties are most useful and identify the unknown powder. Okay,
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome. So what do you guys think our mystery powder is?
Baking soda.
Baking soda. And what was a property factor that it didn't matter for mystery powder?
The weight.
The weight. Okay, you guys got it. You guys are gonna be scientists pretty soon. Any questions for me?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you and have a good one.